Hi, I'm Old Sneelock. Welcome to another episode of Old Sneelock's Workshop. Getting ready to drill the block to put the axle in it. And I need to do some layout work on this so I can cut this down the way I want it. And I need to thin out this tab. So I'm going to do some die chem on it and make some lines. I'm going to take this out in the garage and do the drilling on the big drill press so I can get a good straight vertical hole on this. Then I'm going to drill out the aluminum casting, these two holes here, to a little bit larger size. I drilled this pin to 23/64. It was metric before. I don't know what metric size it is. I don't really care. I'm going to make it 23/64 and put a 23/64 pin in it and lock it down. I want to drill this hole just slightly below the pivot so that when I put this in there, I'm not going to be running into the pivot. I want to be able to take that pin in and out. Now I've laid out a line across the plate that's equal to the bottom of that hole. And I drew a circle on here 1/2 inch in diameter, the diameter of this pin. And then I put a mark right in the center of that hole. Now I know exactly where this pin is going to go through. It won't interfere with the cross pin because it's going to be below the hole for the cross pin. That way I can put the pin in and out. Now I could put this up in here, but when I weld it in place, that's going to block that pinhole. So the only thing I'd be able to do then is go in and drill a notch in this pin. That's going to make this pivot hole egg-shaped in the center. Because when I try and drill this, the drill bit is going to climb off the top of it and dig into the top of the hole. It's going to make one side of this hole egg-shaped, and I really don't want to have this rattling. So I'm better off having this down below slightly. Now I have enough adjustment in the vertical on the bandsaw to make up for any problem that I might have as far as getting this lined up. The previous one had a cast in place pin with a cross pin going through it. I couldn't remove the cross pin. That cross pin was actually fixed in place by this by the axle being cast inside the aluminum. So I ended up having to cut that free, which was kind of a pain in the butt because going in here and trying to cut that little bit right in there was terribly difficult. It took a long time and a lot of fiddling, and I still ended up boogering up this boss just a little bit. So I'm going to change the design and make this pass underneath that pivot. Now the last thing that I need to do is reduce the thickness of this block by about 1/8 of an inch. That's going to give me enough room for this block to pivot in there. And I'll also need to round off this corner and that corner. While I'm doing that, I'm going to also reduce the top thickness by about the same amount. So instead of being 3/4 of an inch thick, it's going to be about 1/2. Still more than enough strength in there to handle the kind of load that I'm going to be putting on it. Now I can take this block out in the garage, drill a 3/16 pilot hole in the drill press, then put a 1/2 inch hole down through there with a 1/2 inch drill bit, get ready to put this in. Once I have that done, then I can go in here and remove this material without disrupting the location of the hole and how I'm going to be able to make it vertical. So first things first, drill a 3/16 and 1/2. Now we have the speed set to drill the 1/2 inch hole for the axle mount. Everything should be all set. about perfect. Didn't go through into the pivot hole. We're ready for grinding. Because I'm using Harbor Freight cutoff wheels, they cut well, but they have a problem. They generate a tremendous amount of dust and smoke. I don't know what they use for a binder. But I don't want to breathe any more of the stuff in than I have to. Last time I had real problems after doing the cutoff on the part. Got the cutoff part done. Now I just need to go in and grind off the edges and make it back to the size I want it to be. I think I've lucked onto it. I'm going to lay the straight edge across the bottom wheel and run it against the top wheel. There's an exact match. Straight and parallel. I think I got lucky. So my next step is to weld this in. If you have any suggestions for a new video, questions about today's video, or any of the other videos on the channel, just drop a note in the comments. You know I read them all. Thanks for watching.